Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you how to get carried in Dark Forest. It is important to make sure you have a good spread of hunters awakened, and you want to make sure to have both a poison and fire build. The hunters shown in this video aren't necessarily the best choice because the meta is always changing as new hunters are released. It is important to listen to the person that is carrying you to support them with the proper picks. You want to be using a poison build typically, but have a fire build built as well so you can support on levels 3 and 8 if necessary. Firstly, I'll list hunters I would make sure to have awakened. It is important to have Mender, Abyssorb, Succubus, and Torment awakened, as these are important hunters that are typically used in every run. You'll also want Eternal awakened, so you can apply weakness. Hunters that don't necessarily need to be awakened will get a big bonus for being awakened from either their awakened ability or by being able to exclude abilities from the draw pool are Void Knight, the Ripper, Time Traveler, and a Girl and Her Golem. Unfortunately, this leaves you one hunter short for supporting on a full run if you aren't participating in the boss kill on any of the levels. You can fill the last slot with either Awakened Carnivorous for the weakness or any Disease Hunter for some extra damage. Unfortunately, a Disease Hunter won't be useful if you or the other player already has disease on a piece of Titan gear. Other good hunters that are worth awakening are Mummy and Mutant Turtle. If the player carrying you is using fire, you can use them on levels 3 and 8 to take out the boss. If the player is using earth, these hunters won't be very helpful. There may be other options that come out over time that will change this list, but these are hunters I would focus on getting awakened. As for Titan gear, two enchantments that will help increase the damage of the person carrying you are weakness and disease. These will allow you to support the other player even more when using your hunters. You don't want to put too many resources into gear pieces you won't be using as part of your build, but either of these enchantments could find a place in your build for a long time, depending on the schematics you get. I'll let you know a sample list of hunters that I often use when being carried that would generally get you to level 10 of a C27 run. If you are killing the boss while the other player is using a fire build, it's common for you to use Mummy on level 3, while the player is carrying you would use Lava Mender, and Mutant Turtle on level 8, while they use Shadow Witch. The list I'll go through now assumes you are just supporting all the way through while the other player takes care of the boss. On level 1, I like to open up with Eternal. The other player can often use whatever hunter they want at this point. On level 2, the Ripper is a good choice. The other player uses a damage dealer like Apex Predator. Levels 3 and 4 are kind of interchangeable depending on what the other player uses, but Carnivorous and a Girl and Her Golem are good choices to support with here. At this point, the player carrying may use Commander Vanellis, a Girl and Her Golem, or Void Knight. On level 5, Void Knight is a good pick if you are being carried, while the carrier can use either a Hoplite or their own a Girl and Her Golem. In the video, you will see me playing Mender, while the carrier plays Torment on level 6. It is more common now for the player being carried to use Torment, while the carrier uses Mender. On levels 7, 8, and 9, the order can change a bit, but it's common to see the following combinations: Succubus and Absorb, then flipping hunters and going Absorb and Succubus for the next picks. Though sometimes the carrier may pair Torment with Succubus instead, they are saving their Absorb for level 10. Also, Anubis is often used on one of these floors. When supporting an Anubis, Time Traveler is a great option. Make sure to focus on getting Death Strike abilities, as this will allow you to keep more enemies off the carrier as they are focusing the boss, as well as Death Strike will work on the golems that spawn. This allows you to clear all the golems out when the carrier continues to stack on the boss. On level 10, it is pretty common now for the player being carried to use Mender, while the carrier uses Superhero. Though depending on some of the picks, it is viable for the carrier to use Absorb or Anubis on level 10 as well. The main thing when being carried is to listen to the other player and support them as best you can. As I mentioned, their picks may be a lot different than my list above, but over time, you get a feel for which hunters support the other player best and can make a lot of these picks without being told after seeing who they pick. But if you're ever unsure, just let them tell you what they want you to play. As for gameplay, typically the carrier will go for the mini-boss right away. I would go through the bottom of the map and loop up the middle, pulling as many monsters as I can. Then I loop around the treant to the C3 crystal to meet the other player, as they're usually finished with the mini-boss by this point. One thing to note is depending on how fast the other player is killing the mini-boss, you may want to scout it before you kill the pack of monsters you've lured in case it is the Leprechaun, so you don't waste the whole pack before the bonus experience buff kicks in. Another thing to note is that if the other player is using Death Vest or Life Vest, you may want to avoid killing the pack of creatures, as you'll be taking away damage from them. On level 10, there is no mini-boss and no crystals to break. It is common strategy on this level to lure the treant back towards the player's spawn point. This allows players to get back onto the boss quickly if they do die. Anyways, this guide is to showcase what runs may look like as you're getting carried. As new hunters are released, new enchantments are released, and players become more powerful, this list will change. I do plan on releasing a few other videos around Dark Forest that you hopefully find helpful, so check back. Also, check out my website huntroyaleguides.com, which is also linked in the description. There's a full text guide on Dark Forest there now. Thanks for watching.